Welcome to Zoo Tours, the channel that reviews and walks you through America's finest zoos. Now if you're new and that sounds good to you, then I recommend you hit those like, sub, and bell buttons to officially join the tour group. Now for today, I got us all tickets to spend a few minutes at Zoo Atlanta. Our last few minutes here were spent exploring the mostly new, but I can't exactly say improved African savanna. For this episode, we are going to walk amongst the Scaly, Slimy, and Spectacular. With $18 million, the Triple S opened in 2015, ending the World of Reptiles' nearly 50-year run. The tenants moved to the much larger, much more innovative, and much cooler-looking campus. It's a third of an acre with 61 habitats, 70 reptiles and amphibians, but I got the cold-blooded shoulder for most of them, and the species lineup might have changed. So what you can do is go to the Scaly Slimy webpage, scroll down past everything that I just said, and click on the exhibit's interactive map to see what and where everything is displayed at all times. We'll start at the warthog's tail end of the savannah, and look who decided to show up after missing their episode. Though in their defense, I guess being born and or giving birth is a good excuse to stay behind the scenes. Anyways, take a right, go past just one of their giant gorilla exhibits, and you'll eventually reach the Georgia Extremes. The first three habitats connected to the building are home to gopher tortoises and eastern box turtles, but you'll probably have better luck getting movement from 8 other creatures inside. But I still got a lot of no-shows. From their eastern hellbender, dwarf salamanders, I did catch a bit of their eastern copperhead, and by this point I was thrilled and felt grateful just to be able to see their gray rat snake. Viewable from both inside and outside is a diverse pond. If you look up on the surface, you might find basking cooter turtles. When I looked under, I saw swimming bass and half of a snapping turtle. There's also 2 outdoor yards, a smaller one for impressed tortoises, and a field for Aldabra giant tortoises, which were indoors due to the cold-ish weather. But that's okay, because there's still plenty to see in the main building. I promise. The path brings us into and under the 45-foot-tall atrium. On the left side of our second section are huge terrariums. In number 1 was a koi Timor python. In number 2, the emerald tree monitor, naturally found on the island of New Guinea. And our 10th no-show goes to a prehensile-tailed skink. But with such a detailed exhibit like this, you can't really blame me for not finding them. Taking up the entire right side of the pathway are very dark waters, a little bit of land, and slender snouted crocodiles. You want to learn more about them? Well, that's too bad. They'll get their spotlight when we see them again at this little place called San Diego at the year's end. Section 3 is the campus's smallest area, but at the same time the longest. You'll find a green anaconda, which sizes up pretty well next to the reticulated python. Altogether, they can have a combined length of 35 feet. Well, make that 35 feet in 1 inch if you also want to include the room's golden poison dart frogs. Section 4 briefly takes us to the deserts. It's my favorite because I look way better in sunglasses. You're surrounded by a little extra heat. Some of the best and most detailed mock rock I've ever seen, embedded with spires and fossils, including this awesome gharial bench. Exhibits-wise, this long, sloping stream is home to a yellow-blotched map turtle. Refuging in the red rocks is a critically endangered Burmese star tortoise. In canyon number 2, a pancake tortoise, doing what they were made to do. And in number 3 was an invisible Mexican box turtle. Next is everyone else's favorite part, air conditioning. The last section is one long darkened hallway full of vivariums of all shapes and sizes. The first 2 had a pilbara skink and a nearly invisible red-eyed leaf frog. Over here, we have a neotropical bird snake. Starting the line on the hallway's left was a boa constrictor, also from South America, the emerald tree boa, not to be confused with the nearby green tree python of New Guinea. Boa, python, boa, python. Then there was a BEA, beautiful Mengshan pit viper, formerly discovered in the late 80s and what do you know, they found themselves on the endangered species list. It was fun seeing the differences between them and the almost equally stunning Sri Lankan green pit viper. But if we're on the subject of looks, nothing compares to the Lake Titicaca frogs. If they don't lock you in with those mesmerizing eyes, then it's gonna be that saggy skin. Now their lungs are only a third the size compared to similar sized frogs, so all that excess skin lets them capture even more oxygen when they're underwater. Inside an even bigger tank was another invisible snapping turtle, and for once, not put in a tiny box, the thick gaboon viper. I did ask nicely, but I couldn't get a smile. In that mouth are the longest fangs of any venomous snake, measuring up to 2 inches or more. The zoo compares the caiman lizard's teeth to a sea otter's. Instead of a bunch of razor-sharp teeth, they mostly have molars to help crush an animal's shell so they can enjoy that meat inside. In the salt marsh exhibit were diamondback terrapin hatchlings. Every so often, the Georgia Sea Turtle Center will rescue a terrapin that's about to lay eggs. Every year, around 20 are sent to Zoo Atlanta to hatch and mature. Most will be released into the brackish waters of Georgia's own Jekyll Island. Kicking off the hallway's right side was a cloud rock iguana. I was hoping they'd be from Bespin, but turns out they're from Cuba. Then we have another fantastic setup for a Fiji banded iguana. Then a Cape Cobra and the Jamaican boa. Near the exit, and after this giant triangle and the corn snake inside of it, is one more rotunda of North America's deserts, where you can say hello to the Mexican lancehead rattler, the just as small speckled rattlesnake, and finally, a huge Guatemalan beaded lizard. And that does it. That was one of America's greatest herpetariums. Before you leave the tour group, let me know what you thought of Scaly, Slimy, and Spectacular. When we regroup back in Atlanta, we'll backtrack and head into the greenery to hang out with the primates of the African forest. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and if you'd like to support the channel even more, you can go to the description and grab a discount fallow bracelet that lets you track sea turtles, sharks, polar bears, elephants, and now penguins. Each bracelet comes with an info card that includes your animal's name, their life story, and a QR code to see what they're up to right on your phone. And the proceeds go to these wildlife organizations. Be sure to use the promo code ZOOTOURS to get 20% off your bracelet. And remember to stay tuned, see if you can answer this episode's trivia question, and thank you for watching.